So I was browsing through the internet yesterday and I just accidentally happened to come across a project that I thought would be perfect to show on video. It's a small item that should sell really well. It's really simple to make, so even a beginner could make it. I'm gonna make it here today, so you can do it in one day, and it actually should only take a few hours to make total. And so let's get started. I'm gonna show you what I came across and a few variations that may just be ways you want to do things. The other nice thing about this is if you don't want to sell it, it still would be a great gift, especially with Valentine's Day coming up. So let's get started. I was browsing Etsy and they have a new feature it's like a gift section, and I thought, let's just see what it suggests. I was kind of not really looking for anything specific, and I somehow came across these bath caddies and trays. Never really looked into this stuff. Don't take baths, and I've seen these before, but I always thought, man, the likelihood of that falling into the tub seems to be pretty high, because there's nothing really to stop it from sliding left to right, and if the side by the wall of the tub slides too far, it's going in the water and everything on the tray would go with it. So I never really personally thought they would work, especially to sell, because all tubs are different sizes. And if I were making one, I'd want to make a little block of wood on the bottom side of it that is strategically placed to where it couldn't slide off of the other side. So we wouldn't have that little splash accident. So I've never made one of these, but after looking here, I'm gonna make one today. So let's just take a look at a few of these. There's a bunch of different styles. There's ones that are live edge. There's ones that have epoxy, kind of like a river table type of look. There's ones that hold so many things, I don't even know what everything is. There's so many little like cutouts, and it's almost overwhelming to see some of these pictures. I see wine bottles and lotions and wine glasses and phone holders and book holders, and these are all in the same thing. Then you have ones that have just little slots for a phone that would sit in, or an iPad. You have ones that would hold a book. You have ones with handles. You have ones that don't have handles. You have ones that have little areas cut out for like small tea light type of candles. So there's tons of varieties. The great thing about that is you could make it however you wanted and it would be functional. If you have a CNC router, there are some that have slots in them that are designed to hold like a wine glass by its stem. So I'm gonna look at a couple of these right now. This is one that has a slot cut in it to hang a towel. It has walnut and like a white epoxy. It looks really nice. They're charging $83 for it, for the cheapest one. Now notice on Etsy, this is a little trick. They'll put different prices for different sized items. The cheapest one will be the price you see when you're browsing. So for a 28-inch wide piece, which I can't picture too many tubs that are that narrow, and the board wouldn't slip off. It starts at $83. If you want a 56-inch wide one, it gets up to $174. Now that's for 56-inch wide piece, that sounds big, but you figure out how many materials are in it, it's really not. And some of these will say how wide they are the other way. I don't see it on this one. But so that's a live edge one. Let's look at this one. I've noticed some of them say minimalist. That must be a word that people look for. And some of the ones that are minimalist, it's literally just a pine board. And I'll see if I can find those. I was blown away. And the amount of money they're charging, it's crazy. So this one is a minimalist walnut one. It has no handles. It has a slot machined into it That would be a phone holder, it looks like. And that's about it. And it's walnut. It starts at $109 for a 26 to 28 inch long piece of walnut. And it goes up to, for one piece of walnut, 54 inch to 56 inch size tub, $303. It's a piece of walnut with a groove machined into it. Anybody could make this. The groove, a little bit more difficult. You're gonna need a router of some sort, either a CNC or even a handheld. So that is the only little, I guess it's the only little thing that would maybe take it up a notch in difficulty level, but it's still very simple. Now, they even tell you on here, so you can use this as a guide, that they recommend you leave 2-inch overhang on either side of your tub for optimal stability. So you can use that as the basis for how you would make yours. And on several of these other listings have suggestions like that. Now, this doesn't say how wide the piece is, but based on the size of that phone that they have in their picture and the size of the headphones, I'd be shocked if it's wider than 8 inches. So 8 inches, an 8-inch by 56-inch long piece of walnut, $303. This is why I decided to make a video of this. I was just blown away. Let's look at another one here. This one has a slot for a wine glass stem. It has a few holes, probably just partway drilled into the board for like tea light candles. It has a book holder. That looks to be pretty much it. And the book holder would also serve as an iPad holder. And yeah, wine glass holder, candle holder, book and tablet rest. They offer, it's pine. They offer it in unstained, which I don't know why you'd ever want to do that unless you want to match something, because you are working around water here. Pine color, honey color, barrel, espresso, dark walnut, and black. And I'm sure those are just stain colors, probably Minwax. I think there's a Minwax Old Oak Barrel, I think is the color. I'm guessing that's what they're using here. And it is literally just a piece of pine. The piece is a 9-inch wide piece, and then you determine the length of it based on your tub size. Their suggestion: ensure you have at least 2 to 3 inches for the tray to rest on the sides of your tub. So choose a width that is at least 4 to 6 inches wider than the interior width of your tub. So there's another guideline. And it says it has a protective sealer, and obviously you don't want to do that around water. So how much is this for a pine board? 28-inch wide pine board, $70. So you get a 1x10. You get an 8-footer. You can get 3 of them out of it. $70. That's $210 of product that, I don't know, what'd you pay for a 10-foot 1x10? Maybe $15. I don't know. Not a lot. Not even close to $210. And there's not much work into this. Sand, attach the pieces, cut out the holes, which if you have a CNC router, you can cut those out in no time. And it's done. So you could churn these out pretty quick. And notice, at the top of the screen, it says it's in 20 carts. Right now, that item is in 20 people's carts. So obviously it's a good item. People want it. The 56-inch wide piece is $170. 56-inch wide. You can get two of them out of a 10-foot board. That is, what is that, $340 of material, of product out of a 10-foot board. That is insane. So there are other ones, and I'm going to show you how to make one. It's a little bit more detailed than that, but not really much. I saw it yesterday. Let me find it here. Some of these look really nice, by the way. And I'm not saying that these people that are making these are ripping people off. It's a great idea. It obviously has a market. If you can sell it for that, by all means, sell it for that. I'm not disparaging them at all. I'm just showing you that there's an opportunity here. Here's a nice live edge one. So if you have access to some live edge pieces, it gives a little bit different look. You can still machine in those features if you wanted to. This person uses sycamore, cedar, or walnut, and they look really nice, honestly. So if you want more of a classy look, the prices are higher. 24 to 26 inch piece of cedar, $107. Sycamore, the same. Walnut, the same. So a little over 2 foot long piece is going to cost $107. So there's still a nice markup there. Here's one. This is a board with just cabinet door handles. I've used these type of handles on serving trays. They're really easy to put on. You drill 2 holes, and you can even get a little jig that shows you where to drill the holes, so you get everything nice and centered. There's no special details to it. This would literally be sanding and finishing and attaching those handles. $64 and goes up from there. It's in 9 people's carts right now. And the 64, what did they do here? So the $64 one is a 28-inch long piece that's 7.5 inches wide. Here's one. I think this is the one we're going to show you. It's a similar look. Adds a little bit of detail. Kind of a rustic looking piece. So it's the same type of thing, but it adds the board on each end. I have no doubt that even a beginner woodworker could make this item. It is that simple. It looks nice. Just look at all these pictures right here. They aren't machining anything into it. They're offering it in 3 paint colors: a natural stain, an espresso stain, dark walnut, provincial, Jacobine, red mahogany, ebony, and classic gray. I'm pretty sure those are also Minwax colors. I'm almost positive. So they're offering all those. It says there's only 5 left and 1 in the cart. 28-inch piece, $83. 34 inches, $88. 42, $100. And custom, $120. So they don't offer quite as many sizes. Not sure why. It seems to me that you would want to offer, and I don't know if I would stop at just custom and go 120, because if you go from 42, custom it could cost you a lot more, just depending on how long custom really is. So if I were them, I probably wouldn't do that, but hey, that's their business. They can do what they want. But that's what they're doing. Let's take a look at what these are selling for. Now, some of these aren't selling. I know that for a fact. We're using this software called Everbee, and I've talked about it before. It's a really good way to go in and analyze products in Etsy to get an idea of how much they will sell for. It'll tell you how many are being sold a month, and it'll estimate the revenue. Now, when they estimate the revenue, they don't take into account if the item was on sale that month. So that is a factor. I wouldn't base a whole lot on just the monthly revenue. I would more look at sales and try to figure out what you could sell it for, and see if it works for you. But let's start. I'm going to sort these by monthly sales here. This one here is selling. There's 96 being sold a month, and they say they're $80 each. Monthly revenue $7,664. I'm gonna click on this just to see. We'll go to view on Etsy. This is one of the ones that has a lot of stuff going on. I would bet those are actually being made in a factory in China, if I had to guess. Not positive, but there's a lot of work going into this, and I have doubts that at that price, it's a woodworker doing it. It's got to be in a factory machine. So I would ignore that one. That's not what we're looking for. This next one though, 38 of them sold in a month. Total sales over time, 1,868, and it's been on Etsy for 4 years. So that's a long time. But 38 sales a month. Live Edge Pippy Oak Bath Board. Take a look at it here. It is a live edge piece. There is nothing cut into it from what I can tell. Looks like you have the option to have stuff cut into it, maybe. Looks nice. Yeah, they have things, add-ons here, it looks like. So, options, nothing. $81 to $110. The size of this is they have a lot of options. Measurements. They're measuring in centimeters. I'm guessing this is not a U.S. seller. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm going to do a conversion. 70 cm to inches. So 27 inches is 70 centimeters. So the cheapest one, 27 inches wide, is $81 to $110. Their most expensive one, which is 95 centimeters wide, converts to 37 inches long, is 110 to 142. And then they have extras. So an iPad, 2 drinks, 2 TLs, I don't know what TLs are. That's where it gets to 142 bucks. There's only 4 left. There's 11 in carts. So there's a live edge example. How much they're selling. Here's another live edge, sold 29 in the last month. Or estimated sales per month, actually. It has some slots in it. Other than that, it's just a piece of walnut. The length determines the price. And it gets up to $413 on a 62 to 64 inch length. So there's definitely some nice markup in that. Here's one, a little more simple. It sells 23 a month. They estimate $1,600 in revenue a month. This one we looked at already. And it is the one that at 56 inches long is $170. And it's a piece of pine with some stuff cut out of it for these little features. So there's definitely money to be made. I just wanted to show you that. If you're interested in the Everbee tool, I'll put a link down in the description. It's really nice for analyzing things. They have a free and a paid version. The free one has limitations. I'm using the paid version, but I suggest trying it out. If you're a hobbyist that wants to make a little bit of extra money, try it out. You might get some value in it, and if so, it's definitely worth it. So I'll put that in the description, and let's get started making this thing. So we're going to start with a 1x8. Now this is an 8 foot long, but I'm going to start by cutting off the end. It's got a weird knot right here, and the ends are never nice on lumber you buy at the store like that. So we're going to get a nice new cut on the end here, and then I'm going to make this tray 40 inches long. I actually don't have a tub this is going to be used on, but I thought 40 inches would be a nice length for one. So let's just go with that. Like I said before, if you want to determine the length, take a look at those Etsy listings. And I know they were saying, 4 to 6 inches longer than the width of your tub. So that's probably good advice. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clean this end up, then I'm going to measure. I'm going to cut the other end, and then we'll move on to the next step. 40-inch long piece. This is a 1x8, but keep in mind, a 1x8 is not actually 8 inches wide. It's 7 1/4. And if you're wondering about why, I have a whole nother video on why lumber prices are the size, or why lumber is the way it sized the way it is. I can put a link up here. You can go refer back to that if you're curious. So the next thing I want to do is that one I showed you on Etsy has a piece of wood that is attached to each end, adds a little bit of decoration. I think it's a little bit nicer look than just a flat board with a handle. So we're going to add that onto it. So what we're going to do, I have this leftover piece. It is actually 2 3/8 wide. So we're going to use that just because it was on my scrap pile, and I think it's a good use for it. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to cut it to length. Now the length I need to cut is the width of the board, which, as I just said, is 7 1/4. So I am going to cut 2 pieces out of this that are 7 1/4 long, and that is going to form those ends. So I'm going to get at that right now. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to sand everything. This one has some burn marks on it, so you got to make sure everything gets cleaned up real good and is ready for finish. I got everything sanded here. My 2 side pieces, my main piece. I actually found some aged barrel Minwax stain. I think that's one of the colors that was on one of the listings. So we're going to stain it with that. Now one thing I'm going to do, and I'm only doing this because I'm going to stain it before I assemble it. And I'm only going to do this part because I'm trying to save time. So I'm actually going to take one of these end pieces. I'm going to get it close to the end, but I'm going to move it in a little bit. And I'm going to just draw a faint line. That's going to be where I'm going to stop staining. That way I'm sure to cover everything that's going to be seen. But the reason I'm doing this is it's going to allow me to stain both sides of this board all in the same setting. I want to get this done today, so this is a way that I can do that and get it done and not have to wait on drying time. So I'll just stop staining about right there. I have a few blocks of wood that I'm going to set this piece on so I can stain the other side. So we'll start with these, and I'm going to wipe this on. Technically, I really wouldn't have to put this on the one side. Not that worried about it though, because I mean, I'm just gonna put one side down and let it dry facing down. I didn't want the entire surface to be doing that because I do care how some of this looks through here. I don't really care as much how the one side of this looks. So if it sets on it and dries, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Now a lot of times when I stain, I'll stain it after it's all assembled. Something like this, it just seems easier. Don't have to worry as much about glue marks. I'm gonna let those penetrate a little bit and then I'll wipe those clean. So this, I'm gonna do the edges and the ends first, because it's gonna be easier to do. It's going to be easier to do now than later. Okay, now this is the side I marked. I'm going to just stain right up to the mark. Now I'm going to let that penetrate for just a second here. I'm going to wipe these blocks down with a clean rag to cover, just to get anything that didn't penetrate wiped off. And the reason I'm doing this is I want to give this a second before I wipe it. This is going to be the top side. And I'm going to wipe the other sides that I did already. And this just is cleaning up anything that didn't soak in. We don't want it puddling on there. It'll look splotchy. And this is a thinner stain than a lot of stains, so I think it's a little extra important to do it. Now I'm just going to set the block of wood at each end. So now it can dry underneath. It's just resting on the wood where I don't care what it looks like, because again, we're going to glue it there. And I'm going to apply the finish on this side now. So the stain is dry. The next step, I'm going to glue these blocks on. Now, I am not going to overdo it on glue. I do not want it to ooze out. The glue does serve a purpose here, and it helps hold it in place, but the screws that are going to be on the handles, which are right here, will go the whole way through as well. So those screws will also help keep everything nice and tight in the way they should be. So I'm not overly concerned about going overboard with the glue, because like I said, I don't want it to ooze out. So I'm going to stay kind of away from the edges so I don't have a mess, and just try to focus on the center area when I apply this glue. Let this glue dry now, and once it's dry, we will clear coat everything and put the handles on. So next I'm going to take the clamps off. I'm going to drill holes for the handles, and then I'm going to put the finish on, and that way I can get everything done beforehand. Just going to be easier because I'm trying to get this all done in one day, and I don't want to wait on a drying time. So what we're going to do is we need to find the center of these pieces. I have a little jig. You can get these at home improvement stores around the cabinet section. I'm sure you can also get them on Amazon. They just make it nice for getting the spacing. It's already pre-measured. So what we're going to do is measure this and find a center point, because that jig has a center point line on it. So the center point, half a 7, 3 1/2, half a quarter, an 1/8, so 3 5/8 should be center. Let's double check that. Yes. So 3 5/8 is the center. Now, what I'm going to do is hold this on here, and I got to decide which set of holes I want to use. I already know that these line up. I have it marked, and I wrote tray on my jig because I use these for the serving trays I make sometimes. So basically, I just want to line that center line up with the center line on the jig, and then decide which one of these holes I want to use. And I'm just going to color it in. And then I'm going to drill it out. Now, when drilling, it's always good to put a board underneath so it doesn't splinter. Nice clean hole on both sides. That's why you use a block of wood underneath when you drill. Flip it end for end. I'll do the exact same thing. I'll find the center point. 3 5/8. And then I will line this up, color in the holes that I want to use. And drill them out. Now I'm going to put some of this spar urethane on. Now the reason I'm using this is it does a lot better job protecting from water, and because this is going to be used by a bathtub, by water, I just thought it would be a lot better item to use. We'll just brush it on. So I'm going to clean some dust off right here so I don't get any of these little shavings. And I'm going to brush this on. So let that dry, and then I'll get the other side here once this top side's dry. After you do that, you're gonna wanna probably put several coats on. I think the can says here, recoat after 2 hours. Obviously read whatever you're using, read the instructions and follow those instructions. And several coats should probably do it. So as soon as this is dry, we'll get back to this, put these handles on, we're done. Okay, so I've let this dry. So now I'm going to put these on. Now, because we doubled up the thickness here, you need longer screws. Sometimes when you buy the knobs or the handles, they come with them, sometimes they don't. These are 1 3/4 inches. If you use the standard ones, they're designed just for a drawer front, and they won't reach. You will have an issue. So let me get a screwdriver here. Okay. So you need the longer screws, and what I like to do is I just want to get one started. You only want to twist it like that a little bit. Otherwise you risk scratching everything. And then I'm going to run the other one up through, and I'm going to tighten these screws down. Now, one drawback to this is you're going to have the screw heads exposed. So, what I would recommend is one of two things. Either countersink these down, so you're going to drill a little bit bigger hole than the screw head and drill it down maybe 1/4 inch deep and get those below the surface so that they don't scratch anything. Because you could scratch a tub probably pretty easy with those. The other thing you could have done, what we could have done was we could have attached these to this piece and countersunk them into that piece, and then attached with glue this piece to the base. And what that would do would be to completely hide these knobs or these handles. The only problem with that is you can never change these out, then you're stuck with that. So if you ever wanted a different look, you couldn't do it. And it's very important, if you do it that way, you got to get the heads below the surface, or you have to create another hole in this piece to account for those heads, or else it'll never go together. So, as I said, I don't take baths. This may never get used, but that's how I would maybe consider doing it. So we're going to put the other end on, and then we'll finish up. And that about wraps it up. Here's the final product. I'm sure it would serve the purpose that we talked about, and it turned out fine. Like I said, there can be money made with these. Come up with a design that's cool. Maybe come up with some feature that nobody else is doing to set yourself apart. Otherwise, you're just kind of blend in with all the others. But I think that there's potential here. So thanks so much for watching. Check this next screen out. There's going to be some videos that come up, and one of them is going to cover other small items such as this that sell. There's real opportunity in just small workshops to make small things that sell really well. You find a niche and run with it. You could really build a nice little side hustle with just small projects. You don't have to make big things. You could do things that you could make in your garage or in your basement in your small little wood shop. This obviously does not take much space to work. We used that miter saw, we sanded, we finished. Anybody could do this in a garage space. Check those videos out, the small other items that sell, the playlists, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.